And welcome to video number 2. This is problem number 2 on that same 3D geometry notes page. I didn't say this the first time, but my suggestion would be when you have diagrams like this to draw subsets of it separately so you can kind of see what's going on and you don't have to keep remarking the original figure. This video should definitely be shorter than the first one because there's only 2 parts, and these parts are a little bit more straightforward. So we have a cylindrical drum. Think of this as like a can or a garbage can of some sort. A stick fits into it diagonally exactly. So let me just draw really quick what that looks like. Think about like the top left part of the can all the way down to the bottom right. That's going to be the longest stick that can fit inside of that drum. The radius is already labeled 5.8 centimeters, the height 15.8 centimeters. We need to calculate the length of that stick. So it's going to be useful to draw in the rest of this triangle. You can see the height and the diagonal make part of a triangle. The rest of the triangle is going to be the diameter. So if we know the radius is 5.8, you double that to get the diameter. I'm going to draw this triangle right over here on the left-hand side. Quick drawing. So I know my height, 15.8, the right-hand side, the top. We have the radius, we double it to get the diameter, 11.6 centimeters, and we want to know the length of this stick right here. Luckily, we know that the top of a can and the side of a can make a right angle. Obviously, in like a can of Sprite or Coke or something, it has an angle, but we're assuming that this is a pure cylinder. It's got a right angle up here. So we can just use Pythagorean theorem, and we're solving for that hypotenuse. So go ahead and try that out. Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. I've got 11.6 squared plus 15.8 squared. Those are my 2 legs. And then our hypotenuse, x. It's squared. So we need to take the square root of both sides, and you'll have your length of the stick. So go ahead and try that out. And I got my answer. 3 sig figs would be 19.6 centimeters. The full answer, 19.6010238 centimeters. And I wrote out the full answer because I'm looking ahead to part B, and I'm going to need to use that full answer for part B. 19.601 is so close to 19.6, you might get the same answer if you use the rounded or the exact, but for good practice, you always want to use that exact answer. And in your calculator, you can always use that ANS function to pull that last answer that you got from your calculator. So part B is asking us for the angle that the stick makes with the drum. So we need to figure out what angle is it actually asking us for. It's not asking us for the angle it makes with the top. It's not this angle. It's not asking us the angle that the stick makes with the bottom of the can, so it's not this angle. It's asking us the angle that the stick makes with the actual drum. So we're looking for this angle right here. You could also say the stick makes an angle with the drum right down here. If you remember back to geometry, you have those alternate interior angles. These 2 angles are actually the same. So if we find our angle, I'm going to call that x. If we find this angle right here, it is the same value as this angle x up here. And if we place this in our diagram off to the side, it's this angle right down here. It's the side of the can, the side of the drum with the stick. So we want to know what that angle is. Remember, when we're finding an angle, we want to use our inverse trig functions. So think about what trig function you would use and go ahead and set that up. Find that angle. So we are using the opposite side and the adjacent side. We're not using the hypotenuse because we don't know anything about it. I mean, we just did solve for it, but you could use it, actually, if you want to use that exact answer. But since you have both of these, I would suggest using the work that it gives you in the problem. But try it out a different way. You should get the exact same answer. If we're doing opposite and adjacent, I want to use my inverse tangent function. Alrighty. To inverse tangent of opposite over adjacent, you should be getting 36.3 degrees. That again is rounded to 3 sig figs. It doesn't tell me to, so if you wrote the exact answer, that is also fine. But if you're rounding, it's got to be 3 sig figs. So that is 36.3 degrees. That is the angle the stick makes with the drum. End of problem 2.